congratulations on the film being out in the world finally.
Yeah, we sat on this. We finished, it was completely finished like a year and a half ago. So it's
Wow.
literally a situation where it was sitting on the shelf catching dust.
There's a real family dynamic in this one. Without giving too much away, can you let us know how it builds on the first film?
The thing that like got really sort of like I wanted to sort of pursue with the first one, I love that idea, you know, because Ryan and I have been in deep discussions. We were like, he's totally a man-child and he's totally got these deep-seated validation issues, and they quite often stem from father issues, people that don't have a strong father figure in their life. And then I always perceived Kincaid, Samuel Jackson in the first film was like this disapproving father figure. And then that dynamic to me felt like, well, that's sort of like this weird family dynamic. And then obviously with Sonia Kincaid, played by Selma Hayek, in the sequel, I was like, let's get her out of prison. What is this woman like in the real world? Because she is batshit crazy. She would complete my family unit. And it's a crazy family with a mother and father that kill people for a living and a man-child that's along for the ride that's trying to protect life.
The energy levels of these actors, you know, Samuel, Ryan and Salma, are just off the charts. What is it like to work with that on set? Like, how do you rein that in or steer it?
I tell you, like, I have to be the person that brings it the most. That's the only way it can happen, is like, I got to bring that energy to set, and I do. Yeah. And I'm very sort of vocal on set and bring a lot of energy to it, because I feel like as a director, you get to set the tone, and you got to go in hot every day, and it's exhausting, but it's like you got to be able to just, like, especially on this franchise, you know, there's not a lot of subtlety, you know, we subvert every moment in the film, and everything's turned up to 11 on the dial, so it's like it's all about extremes. It's like how, you know, like the thing that I get obsessed about, I find hilarious, is what is that moment where I'm pulling the handbrake on the audience, where I'm like leading them down this path, and oh, the film's going this way, and then boom, no, it's not, it's back this way, and like, whoa, for me, that's where the juice is. You know, it
takes real skill to bring that comedy and action together. Where do you begin even plotting that out?
It's always from a place of character. I mean, I think you know, the dance that you play as a director is like trying to find that balance, because it can quickly sort of tip into too fast, and once it's in fast, then you've lost all sense of stakes, and then nothing's real and nothing matters, and it's like, okay, well, that's a sort of different genre. But so it is like that balancing act of like, well, how do we have those moments of sort of honesty, and even if we subvert them, you still want to have those fleeting moments where it's like, oh, you know what, that's actually a genuine sort of honest moment. And I always remember, like, for me, like, the huge influence was Trains, Planes, Automobiles. And if I look at the character of John Candy in that film, that midpoint, I mean, that really chokes me up every time. As funny as that film is, it's really sad, and you feel so sorry for him, because it's like he doesn't have anyone in his life. And you know, like, that was something that Ryan and I are both obsessed with that film, and we were like, how do we take those qualities and just juice it up with explosions and car chases and all that sort of nonsense, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this movie is just filled with so much action. It just comes at you from every angle. How do you go about keeping each one of those stunts fresh?
For me, again, it's all about subverting them. How do we just, like, screw with the audience, like, you know, lead them down the path of expectation, and then just pull the rug and go, because then it's like, if you're playing on the trope, you know, and then it makes it fresh and funny at the same time. You get a big laugh out of the audience. Certainly there's a big boat chase sequence in the film that plays on that. So that's something I'm always sort of looking for, and I'm always looking, where is the comedy in this? Because, you know, and Ryan's the same. We're very much aligned on, like, our style of, like, what we think is funny. And I remember, like, when we were doing the first Hitman's Bodyguard, like, we were going to have this fight sequence, and with Ryan's character Michael Bryce, and Ryan and I both agreed. We were like, it's not a fight. He doesn't stand and fight. He's not like Statham, you know. It's not like, and I love Statham. I'm good friends with him, but I'm, you know, he that's not his character. That's not what he does. If he sees bad guys, he's going to run. So we were like, you know, and like, I remember in production, like, everyone's like, oh, you know, because they come to you, there's so many, you know, you got 1,200 crew and all these different people coming up to you, and they're like, you know, in 2 weeks we're going to be shooting this fight sequence, and I'm like, it's a chase sequence. Ryan's running away. He's not fighting. It's a chase sequence. So we turned that whole fight sequence in a bakery in this hardware store. It was like this big sort of dance. And like, so it's like, that's where it all sort of comes from. It's like, I like thinking about it in terms of character.
Yeah, Michael's really safety first, isn't he? Really?
He's a douchebag first. He's a man-child with deep-seated validation issues. And he's also got the emotional maturity of a 7-year-old.
You really put Ryan through the ringer in this one. Was that intentional from the outset?
110% intentional. I literally wrote a list. I was like, I want him to be shot, stabbed, hit by a car. I want him to be, I want him to drown. I want to drug him. I want to like there was literally a list. This is all the things I'm going to do to this character in this order. And this is the layout. Ryan and I have this sort of like text relationship where I'm just like constantly texting like updates about this is what I'm going to do, because then he's like, oh, this is what we should do, and then I was like, well, this is what we should do. And we're trying to one-up each other. But I remember I sent this list of everything I was going to put him through, and his response was, oh, great, that sounds fantastic, thank you. But we did. Initially I was like, okay, we're gonna open this film with this version of himself, which is his ego, right? And we're gonna end with his identity. And his identity is this tattered suit with all these holes in his face, and he's been shot, stabbed, drowned, drugged. So he's like this sort of degenerate with gambling debts. I remember like Blake and his kids would come to visit set, and it's like, that's Dad.
What have you done to him?
Let's go, Grace! Vámonos!
I know you. Don't I know you?
I'm Sonia Kincaid. The mafia took my husband. We have to go get him.
No. I'm not getting involved in this. I'm under strict psychological order. Finally, Darius isn't haunting my dreams.
Come on, let's go!
Does most of your production planning go into stunt and action sequences in this film?
Look, as a director, I mean, it is grueling. You're on your feet 16 hours a day, 6 days a week for 6 months. Like that. That's every movie. And it's emotionally, physically and mentally draining. But yeah, certainly action sequences take it out of you, because it is all in the prep. Like, you've got to put all the work is in the prep. You can't just rock up on the day and go, oh yeah, maybe I'll flip a car here. It's like, no, you have to work all this out beforehand. So I've got a great team that I work with. I've got a wonderful assistant and pre-vising specialist I work with who's come with me on every film. He's actually from Sydney, and previs everything, and that becomes the Bible when you're working through pre-production. So there's like a million freaking meetings go down, and there's safety involved, and there's 1,200 crew, and it's like pyrotechnics and choppers and like there's so many sort of spinning plates. So it's like it's all in the prep. So when you get there on the day with the actors are like, oh wow, this is amazing. I'm like, dude, I've been here 55,000 times. I don't care. Stand there, shut up. Action, go.
And you went from your directorial debut to The Expendables 3 and then these huge movies. That's quite a career trajectory. How did that feel for, a boy from Melbourne?
It felt very seamless. It felt, I'm joking.
This is where I'm meant to be.
Yes, yeah. No. That was, look, I took a huge gamble making my first film. I mortgaged my house and put everything on the line and made it without a distributor, and because I had like so many attempts to try and get my first film made, and I'd written three scripts and tried 3 times, and each time my budget just kept getting lower and lower and lower, because I was like, all right, screw it, I'm gonna just make a movie for under $1 million. I'm gonna finance it and produce it and write it, direct it and edit it, and I'm gonna shoot it on leftover film stock from Fast and Furious 3, and I'm going to shoot it without a distributor. And then, you know what? It's going to be so awesome. I'm going to enter it into a festival and I'm going to sell it. So I risked a lot to get that made, but fortunately, it had a bidding war, and Sony bought it, and it opened up every door in Hollywood. And one of those doors that opened up was that because it opened up this doors, and I got an amazing agent, and people started seeing the little film I made for next to nothing, The Smell of an Oily Rag, and people starting seeing a film called Red Hill was passed around town, and Sly Stallone saw it, and he really loved it, and then I got a call from the agent saying, hey man, he wants to meet with you on a project. So that's how it sort of came about.
I think in a short space of time, you've worked with everyone, all the action legends in the business pretty much by now. Do you have a bingo card going?
I met with because they have these DGA catch-ups, the Directors Guild of America, and you get to go and catch up with this, it's sort of like that club where it's like, these are the feature film directors, and you catch up with all these amazing, talented directors that make all these feature films, and it's like, it's all the people, it's all your stars and all the people you look up to, when you're trying to break in. And then there was a few instances where I was like, dude, I've made 5 films now, and I've worked with more movie stars than you have. So, but yeah, I put Expendables. It certainly put I think it was like 13 movie stars in that film.
Exactly, it ticked off a lot of boxes, didn't it?
Yeah,
Just one
film. Yeah, that was kind of like a cheat code, and that got me like ahead of the game. And then now I just finished doing a film with Woody Harrelson and Kevin.
Yeah, and then in this one you've got also Morgan Freeman and Antonio Banderas. Tell me about the casting for Antonio Banderas in particular, because I would not have pictured him as a Greek, tycoon, evil genius.
Billionaire. I did. I was like, well, if I want to have someone that's flamboyant and makes women buckle at their knees, that's Antonio Banderas.
We all know that.
Yeah. I've worked with him before, and also he's hilarious. I absolutely love working with him. In fact, my brother's working with him right now on his first film. He's shooting in Greece at the moment. But it's he's incredibly funny. Like I told Antonio that. Like I felt like if he didn't become an actor, he certainly would have been doing stand-up.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
I'm going to have to wrap it up with the last question, and I guess it's an obvious one. Is there going to be a Hitman's Bodyguard 3? What will it be called? I was thinking about this. What could it be called? Hitman's wife's bodyguard's bodyguard.
Hitman's wife's bodyguard's
bodyguard. ...
Because I'm never going to reveal the title, and no one's ever going to guess it. I've seen a lot of people trying to guess it online, but
so you have it already. You have it already.
I'm not allowed to talk. I'm not allowed to say anything. We have to end this interview at this point because if I say any more, I'm going to have to kill you.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there then. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thanks.